Okay, I'll try to remember. But if I miss, I think I will keep in my mind everything like this.
Wala ko, tuluo lang ka, tumuyo ko sa kali.
Katmok lang kami sa Eagle Seals. Ay. Ali Malusia malungil sils in Merakaw. Malungil program kita al sils. Leo bangkit ang artiang ambasador Véronique Roger-Lacan. Hanggang ambasador ablura France. El meraigal yun sa Taiheyo. Mal masaw lam lo mo itatemel. Lo sa el mestapay magadukong tial table time. Magadamawngil mo madangali mo madangelo say tialo mo rolel nervelaw ngara mokte gangi. Thank you for joining us, Ambassador. Welcome to Palau, and thank you for taking the time of your busy schedule to join us this morning. So my first question to you is, can you tell our audience a little about yourself and what inspired you to take on this role of new French ambassador for the Pacific?
Ungin Tutao, everyone. Ungin Tutao, Kambas. Thank you very much for hosting me on this TMC.
Right.
Happy to spend a little bit of time together with you and everyone. To answer your question and to tell the audience how come I am now ambassador to the Pacific, permanent secretary to the Pacific. I have a long background on Asia Pacific and on multilateral affairs. And when President Macron came in the Pacific in July 23, he wanted to enhance France's presence in the Pacific to offer as much as possible of our assets and our cooperation to the people of the Pacific. So I accepted this post and this proposal with great joy, and I have spent now 2.5 years very happy in the Pacific with the Pacific people and trying to identify projects for the Pacific people.
Okay. Thank you. So many Palauans see the Pacific as one big family. How does your own background and connection to the Pacific shape the way you represent France based in New Caledonia to countries like Palau?
So, you know, we have France has a relationship with 3 French territories in the Pacific: New Caledonia, French Polynesia, and Wallis and Futuna. And the aim of our work is to make sure that what we have invested in those 3 territories benefit the whole of the Pacific, and to make sure also that the people of those 3 territories know much better than maybe they have so far the people of the Pacific. And Palau is one population which has a number of similarities in the institutional framework, the compact relationship with the United States, for example, but also the climate change challenges and the need to cooperate with the rest of the Pacific. This is something that we want to contribute to with our cooperation, our schemes, and our wealth in those 3 territories.
Okay, thank you, Ambassador. So, Palau and New Caledonia are both proud Pacific nations. One is independent and one with a unique relationship with France. So what opportunities do you see for stronger bilateral cooperation between our 2 countries in the coming years?
We see a lot of opportunities for the strengthening of bilateral cooperation. We have a bilateral embassy which is based in Manila and which covers the bilateral relationship with Palau. And my team and I, we are a regional embassy. We cover the whole of the Pacific, and our aim is to listen to the people of the Pacific, to the governments of the Pacific, to the heads of states and government of the Pacific, and to identify which type of regional cooperation we can foster. So the bilateral relationship between France and Palau is key, is strategic. The bilateral relationship that can be established also between New Caledonia and Palau is very important. And what we try and identify are regional projects. I will give you, for example, one example of regional program that we have worked on now for 2 years and a half. And now we are very proud that we are going to be able to launch it to the people of the benefit, to the benefit of the people of the Pacific, and also in Palau. This is a program on strengthening the audiovisual sector in the Pacific. I will explain a little bit. So far, we know that lots of TV programs, of radio programs in the Pacific, as in many places in the world, are filled with content from the United States, from New Zealand, from Australia, from France, from other countries. And there is less and less content produced by the Pacific, for the Pacific, by the Pacific people, for the Pacific people. At the same time, we know that there are lots of talents in the region, and that there is a need to promote, protect the cultures in the region. And I know the Palauan culture is a very specific one, very beautiful one. And we hope to see, for example, you are talking about New Caledonia, French Polynesia. We would really love to see some contents produced in Palau by Palau people that would be also to the benefit of the New Caledonian public. Mm-hmm. So this is a program that we have devised for 2 years and a half. Now it's going to be available for example, your broadcasting company. If you have a project, maybe next year, we hope that the call for project will be on, and you can apply in cooperation with your authorities for subsidies. And if you have a project, if you want to have more online presence, you can apply to this program.
Great. That, I think, is actually what we need here in TMC. So, Ambassador, my next question is, Palau is a world leader in marine conservation, large-scale marine conservation, such as our Palau National Marine Sanctuary. And New Caledonia has the world's largest lagoon, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So how can our two nations work together to protect the Pacific Ocean for future generations?
We have cooperation which has started already. We have based in New Caledonia, our Institute for Research Development, which is competent for the whole of the Pacific. And we have, during this trip this week in Palau, a scientist who is an oceanographist, and she has started a program of cooperation between French Caledonian scientists and Palauan scientists to test the sustainability of Palauan waters. We know that the Palauan people, the Palauan authorities are extremely careful in making the Palauan waters and Palauan nature and Palauan biodiversity exemplary, and they succeed in doing that. Unfortunately, it's not because you do whatever is possible in your country that the rest of the world does not have an influence. We know that, for example, on climate change, there is this say that the Pacific people and ocean is somehow undergoing the consequences of industrialization elsewhere in the world. So the cooperation that has been started between French, New Caledonian scientists and the Palauan scientists is to test the viability of the waters and to check with the coral, on the coral reefs, what is the assessment of the future dangers that those waters can undergo. We will visit this site tomorrow and have a celebration with French scientists and Palauan scientists, and we hope also to bring very soon maybe some more French scientists to train and to exchange expertise with the Palauan scientists.
Oh, nice. Okay, we in the Pacific Islands depends on tourism growth for our economic development. And tourism is vital for both Palau and New Caledonia. Are there any plans for that you see for joint tourism initiatives, cultural exchanges, or direct flights that could benefit Palauan families and businesses?
Tourism, yes, is very important, and you mentioned potential projects for cultural cooperation to encourage some kind of ethical tourism and tourism that is respectful of the environment, of the culture of the given countries. The program that I was mentioning before, the cultural program, is also going to support the next FESPAC, which is, this Festival of Pacific Cultures, which is going to take place in 2028 in New Caledonia. And I want here to thank Minister Ngirai, who is the Minister of Culture and who is our honorary consul. We are very lucky to have him. So he's going to represent Palau at the next CPAC, which is the Council of Ministers of Culture. And we want to organize joint projects and make sure anyway that Palau is well represented at the next FESPAC in New Caledonia. On direct flights, we know that air connectivity is an issue in such a huge ocean territory with tiny lands, and we need to increase mobility. We need to increase the number of students which travel from one country to another in the Pacific. And yes, the issue is air connectivity and maritime connectivity. On air connectivity, we know that Palau is working a lot on making sure that all the infrastructures are open and available for any company that would wish to travel and establish direct links to Palau, or from Palau to the rest of the Pacific, or contribute to making Palau a hub, a regional hub. We have in French Caledonia and New Polynesia two main companies, Air Caline and Air Tahiti Nui, and we hope that they would be interested in traveling here to contribute to the initiatives put by Minister Ngirai and President Whips on opening up Palau as a hub for tourism, for air connectivity. We came here also to work on that.
Oh, nice. So here, climate change and rising sea levels are an existential threat to all Pacific Islands. What specific actions will France or / New Caledonia push for in regional forums like the Pacific Islands Forum to support low-lying nations like Palau?
We have been approached by a number of small island states and territories which are fighting against sea level rise and coastal erosion. because they heard that there is this aggregate in New Caledonia, which is a nickel slag. It's an aggregate coming from nickel. We have 40 million tons of it sitting in New Caledonia. It's a cheap aggregate, and it's also an aggregate which has been assessed, at least in New Caledonia, as neutral for the environment. And we are ready now to assist in establishing whether this aggregate is also neutral for the other territories. We want to make sure that if this aggregate is used, it does not produce any danger for the environment and for the biodiversity. That's one. And second, once this is done, we want to contribute to use it, to have the construction norms that will enable the constructors to use it. And the third point will be, we will organize the transportation of this aggregate to the countries which need it. I think Palau might be interested. We know that Kiribati, Tuvalu, Nauru, Marshall Islands are already very interested, and we are launching the project on the 27th of April. We have invited relevant ministers to attend this kick-off meeting, and we hope that this will help those countries and territories not to dig into their lagoons to grab some sand, because the more you grab sand, the more your lagoon is, or your seas are damaged. Plus, the sand that you use for construction is humid and not very viable to resist tsunamis, earthquakes, cyclones, landslides. So you need a solid material to resist this type of event.
Okay, thank you, Ambassador. So, fishery and ocean resources are central to our way of life. How does France plan to collaborate with Palau and other Micronesian states on sustainable fishing, combating illegal fishing, and protecting our tuna stocks?
The fight against illegal fishing is at the heart of our contribution to security in the Pacific Ocean. On sustainable fishing and assistance to the people in Micronesia, we have projects. We are contributing to 5 projects, and we have an overall program, and we spend in Micronesia 20 million euros to contribute to sustainable fishing. We also assist the communities, community fishing, women in helping to use nature-based solutions to protect their environment, the fisheries. So these are the types of projects that we use. That's one. Second part is the fight against illegal fishing. We have armed forces in New Caledonia and in French Polynesia, Navy, which contribute to all fisheries forum agency operations. Ray Balang, the operation Ray Balang was just finished, I think. It took place from the Solomon Islands, but it's an operation in which Palau is very active as well, and we cooperate. Our armed forces are doing a lot to identify ships that are doing illegal fishing. Also, we are entering into having agreements on ship riding, meaning that we can send a French officer on board some ships, or the reverse, bringing some officers from a given country on board our Navy ships, and to look after or to survey the illegal fishing. Yeah. We spend overall per year 2 million euros to support the fight against illegal fishing in the Pacific.
Okay. Thank you. Geopolitical tensions are increasing in the Pacific. I just want to get your thoughts on, as a French ambassador for the Pacific, how will New Caledonia balance its relationship with France while ensuring the voices of the independent Pacific nations like Palau are heard and respected in regional decision-making bodies?
On geopolitical tensions, we want to emphasize the fact that we work in the Pacific within our Indo-Pacific strategy. The three criteria for our work in the Indo-Pacific strategy are: one, that we want to stick to the principles of the UN Charter, meaning the respect of multilateralism, work among the regional organizations, the multilateral organizations, and the principle of one state, one voice. This is very important. You can be as tiny as a number of states in the Pacific, or as huge as China, but still in the UN, in the multilateral world, it's one state, one voice. This is something that we want to promote and protect. We also promote and protect, and this is something which is key for the continuity of Palau. It's the law of the seas. The respect of the law of the seas, the principles, is also what we do. Our Navy patrolling in the Pacific Ocean, but also each of us, diplomats and individuals, we work on that. That's the first principle. The second principle is that we support sovereignty, and we want to provide tools for every sovereign country in the Pacific to continue as a sovereign state without undergoing the influences of one or another state. There is this say in the Pacific, which is friend to everyone, enemy to none. This is key, and this is one of our principles. The third principle is that in the Pacific, we want to contribute to the fight against climate change and the problem of the consequences of climate change, which are the loss of biodiversity and so on. So we provide all the tools that we can, and for example, within the COP, the climate conferences, we provide the assistance and the expertise that we have put into the success of COP21, the Paris Climate Agreement. Those are the three principles. Now, you asked me about how can interaction with New Caledonia, which has and French Polynesia, which have a specific status, be organized within that principle of sovereignty and with all other sovereign states in the Pacific. What is very important to emphasize is that to respond to this question and to work on this issue, the governing principle is the self-determination principle. Self-determination principle is a constitutional principle in the French Constitution. It means that any of the French overseas territories or population which want to exercise their right to self-determination, it is the constitutional duty of the French government, of the French authorities, to make sure that those populations can exercise their right to self-determination. Now, we need to add two precisions to that. First, the right to self-determination, it is a fundamental right, so it has to be exercised in a democratic manner. France is a democracy and is really adamant at respecting the democratic principles, meaning that it's also one person, one voice, and that anybody has the right to vote at any time or not to vote. But this is every choice every democratic choice, including the choice to self-determination, has to be exercised through the ballot box, not through violence, not through insurrection, not through unrest. You need to negotiate and propose laws or instruments, legal instruments, that will be voted upon. That was the second, the first precision that I wanted to add to the right to self-determination. The second precision, which is very important, is the fact that in the United Nations Charter, which is our guiding tool for the peaceful management of the international community, the United Nations Charter and General Assembly resolutions define self-determination as 4 options. The first option is independence. Second option is independence into an already independent country. Third option is state association. And the fourth option is any negotiated solution. So when we hear, and we hear this a lot in the media, in the Pacific, but other places as well, that self-determination is automatically independence. That's not the case. Self-determination is that the population have to determine together in a consensual manner where they want to go together. And we have to bear in mind that the word is a word with interactions, migrations, and there is no, yes, the principle of first people exists, First Nations exists, but at the same time, because the world has been interacting with each other everywhere, there are mixed populations everywhere, but that believe that this given territory is their country as much as the country of the first people. And it is in this context that everyone has to negotiate. What the French state does in New Caledonia, in French Polynesia, in all the territories, is that it is ready when there is, one way or another, an expression of this self-determination wish. It offers all the tools to negotiate. All the tools, and when, for example, in New Caledonia there was an unrest, we offer also the tools to rebuild the country. So this is where we are, and to conclude on that very long statement, the cooperation between independent states and other type of statuses, territories, is organized within the Pacific Islands Forum, within the South Pacific community, and there is a lot of scientific, cultural, education cooperation, and France, we want to contribute to it, and we do contribute to it with projects, with aid, with budgetary and aid cooperation.
Okay, thank you. So Palau will be hosting the next Pacific Island Forum, which will be scheduled reportedly by the end of August, early September. And as a French ambassador for the Pacific, what new initiatives should we expect on the next forum meeting?
An initiative from France, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, we are first waiting to see what the Pacific Islands Forum will decide over the reform of the regional architecture and the reform of the partnerships. You know that the leaders of the Pacific Islands Forum have decided that they want to reform that. So as partners, we are waiting for the decision to be taken. We are very thankful to President Whips for his strong leadership as a member of the Troika and soon as chair of the Pacific Islands Forum. We know that he's very much engaged into maintaining the unity of the PIF, and this is key for stability in the region. He has a huge political clout and authority, And this is something that we, as French authorities and French state, we welcome very much. Political leadership is very important in the region. It has that. What we are going to contribute is our contribution to the Pacific Resilience Facility. This is a tool that has been devised by the PIF leaders, and then we will continue to make sure that all our projects, our contribution to security, illegal fishing, fight against drug trafficking. You know that we have been we have seized 14,000 tons of cocaine next to French Polynesia that were coming from South America going to Australia. So this is something that is very important, security in the region, and all the development and climate change programs we are supporting.
Thank you. Okay, so education and youth are the future of the Pacific. Are there scholarship programs, student exchanges, or vocational training opportunities between, say, New Caledonia and Palau that our young people could benefit from? And I'm asking this question is, I was in the early 2000s, I was a recipient of a 1-month scholarship from the French government to study in New Caledonia. And at that time, we just opened our aquarium, and I was there because Numaya Aquarium was a pioneer in hatching and rearing captive nautilus. And I was there, in one of our signature programs at the aquarium here was to showcase Palau's ocean wonders, and nautilus is also a big part of that. So in that line, is there like educational activity, opportunities, trainings, program exchanges between New Caledonia and Palau that our young people could benefit from?
I'm very glad to meet you. I think I'm going to suggest that you are appointed as the chairman of the French Alumni Association, which is maybe you can start to create also. Congratulations already. We have a number of programs, because this is also one of our priorities. President Macron, when he came in July 23 in the region, he instructed us to work on student mobility, on researchers exchanges program. I mentioned before these exchange programs between the scientists in New Caledonia and in Palau for the monitoring of the acidity of the ocean. And we have a program which is called Campus Mobile Pacific, and which is supposed to support any joint program between universities in the Pacific, and if useful for those universities, with the University of New Caledonia and University of French Polynesia. We have last year, I will give you 2 or 3 examples, given some grants for cooperation between the University of New Caledonia and the University of Goroka in Papua New Guinea, cooperation with the University of the Solomon Islands. We have an ongoing cooperation with the University of Vanuatu, and we bring students from those countries in New Caledonia during 15 days, 1 month, or 2 months, to learn the discipline that they want to learn, and also to learn French at the same time. At the same time, what we want is the students in New Caledonia and in French Polynesia to get to know the students and the youth in other independent countries. Like, for example, we know that students in our Francophone territories, they are eager to learn English. And we suggest that they learn English. Learning English in Australia and New Zealand and the US is perfect, but to get to know their fellow from other independent islands, we believe would be better to create some links and some networks of youth within the Pacific. So we encourage that they go and learn English in Tonga, in Palau, in the Samoas, in the Cook Islands, So this is where, with our program, Campus Mobile Pacific, you can apply. And we have identified during these last days in Palau a number of programs that could apply also in this for those scholarships.
Okay. Thank you, Ambassador. We're coming to the end of the program, the interview, and I'm gonna make this my last question to you, so you can directly address the Palau people. So, is there a message you would like to share directly with the people of Palau, our families, our fishermen, our youth, or our leaders?
Thank you. The message I want to share is that you should be proud. You are proud people of your country. You should be proud. My team and I, we have been really impressed by what we have seen so far. You are an example for a number of people and countries in the Pacific and in the rest of the world. And preserve your environment as you have done so far, and preserve your heritage, and learn your languages and your culture, promote them throughout the Pacific and the world.
Kamata kami aman masulang ang galdir ka program mereka interview ringi Véronique Roger-Lacan, French Ambassador for the Pacific. Maigil beklobis ra maklolobis ra regional ngara tial taheyo ngai kita wal matala France rom tera France marigi kita dulu. Gabadi mena asul. Thank you, Ambassador, for for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and pay us a visit and to have this to join us for this interview program. We wish you enjoyable the rest of your visit here on the island, and who knows, maybe we'll get to see each other in 2028 Festpac in Numea.
Exactly. Looking forward to seeing you, and thank you for taking the time and hosting me in this program.
Thank you.